Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Cathrine, bestie and co-host.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah, it is.
We're doing an episode about Ground Hog Day.
We're going to make it exciting.
Yes. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, we were talking, so this is dropping on Ground Hog Day.
Yeah, 2/2/22.
Right? That's not going to happen for a long time, if ever.
Right.
Well, it'll happen again, but it'll be 30/22.
Yeah.
Will we be 99 by then?
Yes. God, I hope so.
Sorry.
And many groundhogs will be 99 by then because they only live
6 years?
6 to 8.
Yeah, that's not very
long. If they're
long.
in captivity, they live for 10 years. But I read that some people, some loyal fans, believe that the same groundhog has been around for all these years, like many years.
Well, they probably believe other things that aren't true also.
Yeah, like Elvis isn't
Right.
dead and things like that.
Right. All right. Well, share with our listeners, Cathrine, what they can expect to get out of this podcast.
Well, in case you don't know, we're going to let you know what Groundhog Day is. We're going to let you know how it started. And then we're going to give you some fun facts about groundhogs.
Right. So hopefully you'll never forget.
Right, because you need to know, I guess.
All right. So stay tuned for all of that. And who is this podcast sponsored by?
Well, Muffin and Pooh.
Our husbands.
Ron and Kenny.
Yeah.
I say that with a little bit of
Every
hesitation.
time.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel so bad. It's cringy.
It is cringy.
Not for us. I mean, it's natural, but for I can imagine for listeners.
But here's the thing. We're over 50. We don't care anymore.
No. I kind of do.
All right. Cathrine cares. I don't care. So I guess you have to be 56 to not care because I don't care.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move along. What do you got over there with your groundhog information?
Well, we could start out by saying that it's always on February 2nd.
Yeah. Why is that? Do you know?
Yeah, it's something to do with way back, which we'll get into that with the history, but it's to do with this thing that they called Candlemas.
Candlemas?
Yeah.
It's like a religious holiday.
Yes, and that had started at that time. So then it just evolved to keep it that way.
Yeah. Well, plus they probably had to, if they were going to choose a rodent, to come out of his cave or whatever, they got to make sure it's time of year that he's going to come out.
That too. So that's,
I have an idea.
Let's use, Well, it was a hedgehog before it was a woodchuck.
Yeah. Those are two different animals, right? A hedgehog is different than a woodchuck.
That's correct.
Okay.
And a woodchuck is
chuck
a woodchuck. Yeah. Anyway.
Boy, here we go.
So, according to tradition, if a groundhog comes out of its hole on this day, on February 2nd, and sees its shadow, it gets scared and runs back into its burrow. I don't know how they know that it's scared, but they must.
It's like Cathrine. She's scared of her own shadow.
That is very true. Even sometimes the car, when I'm driving, I'll have a shadow and I'll be like, yeah, someone's right there. It's very true. Anyway.
Go ahead.
So it gets scared and runs back into its burrow, predicting 6 more weeks of winter weather. And no shadow means an early spring.
Okay, and how often is the groundhog accurate? How often is his forecast
I don't
accurate?
have it in front of me, but it's very rare. I think the Pennsylvania one, which it's very hard to say this.
Punxsutawney.
Wait, no. I had it earlier. Punxsutawney.
Punxsutawney Phil, that guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Punxsutawney.
40% is the percentage that I read that these groundhogs are accurate 40% of the time.
Yes.
Which actually isn't bad. It's not bad because I looked this up. If you look up current 2022 modern day technology meteorologists and how often they're accurate with a 10-day forecast, so 10 days. Yeah. Obviously, people can figure out what it's going to do today.
Yeah.
I mean, go outside.
I think we're going to get 80-degree weather today.
10-day forecast is only 50% accurate. 50%. The groundhog is 40%.
Well, when you compare the two, okay, yeah.
Well, that's just disheartening. That should be alarming. Like we should be
especially when we know what meteorologists make.
Well,
Six figures.
and look at the number of years that have passed from the day that somebody out there figured out, hey, I got an idea.
Well,
Let's just use the ground hog. That's as good as any other method we've come up with.
well, back in 1887.
Is that when they did it? 1887?
Yeah. Well,
that's a
when it
long
started.
time ago.
Yeah.
They haven't come up with anything better with the buttons and all the digital stuff. And the weather balloons.
1887 for Ground Hog, I meant.
I know.
Oh.
What I'm pointing out is that we've only grown by 10% versus the
I
ground
gotcha.
hog to today for the 10-day forecast.
Well, I think we've insulted all the meteorologists.
I don't think they're listening. They're not listening to us, Catherine. They don't care. They're at home because they know that they can be wrong 50% of the time. And they're just like, yeah, this is the science. It's the way it is. Follow the science. Blah, 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 blah. Give me the check. Cha-ching. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Went on a rant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what's your next
That's
point?
right.
Let's see what happens.
Well, then we're going to talk about how it got started.
How did it get started?
The concept stems from Germany. And the holiday that they had was called Candlemas. And early European Christians believed that if the sun came out on Candlemas, which is also February 2nd, winter would last for another 6 weeks. So then I believe that there was these hunters of like these little rodents and groundhogs and so forth. And there was an editor of a newspaper that had approached these guys in this club and said, and he sold them this idea. He's like, hey, I have an idea for you. Let's create this Groundhog Day. And then it became a thing. And then it was really popularized in 1993 when the movie came out with, what's his name? Bill Murray. Yeah.
Okay, there again, a very long period of time from the time that somebody came up with it till Bill Murray got his hands on it. And then we're all into Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Not that we're all into it, but here we are doing a podcast talking about it.
And they make such a big deal about it. So out there in Pennsylvania, they call them dignitaries, and they wear the top hats and the cloaks and things like that. And they're like, oh, let's get out our groundhog.
Yeah.
And do this thing. And I read, now where did I don't think I wrote it down, but I think up to 30,000 people now
go out there,
or they've had 30,000 people out there for that. 30,000 people, drawing crowds of up to.
So they're doing other things too, like they've got food everywhere and beer and.
I mean, there's festivals for everything, like Strawberry Festival and Popcorn Festival. Yeah. So, but this is a big one.
I wonder what they do in Germany, since this is a German, it came from there. Are they like, haha, those silly Americans? They're over there thinking Groundhog Day is a thing.
We let it go ages ago, but those Americans,
hang in there,
cling on to things, so they just can't let go.
Hey, it's a reason for a party. I do think they have Groundhog Day in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong, Canadians listening, if any are. But I think they do have it. I thought I read that somewhere.
It's funny. We both looked up at the calendar as if Canada's going to say yes.
Well, I would imagine that Canadians are as desperate as anyone else for winter to be done. You know, I've only been to Niagara Falls to the Canadian side. That's as far as I got into the country of Canada. But it looks pretty cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cold.
So I would imagine that they'll take any chance at less winter. If they can get it.
Yeah.
So jump on board.
Here we are in Illinois, and I think it's just as cold, really. Cold is cold, and I'm desperate for some kind of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a feeling that people that live north would beg to differ with you, but
I know they would. I know, but
cold is cold, and it is cold here. It's all relative to what you can tolerate and to what your experience is. So, we know plenty of Midwesterners who, once they get south, like your daughter now lives in Florida. My in-laws have lived in Florida for over a decade. When they come up here and it's 50 degrees, they're like,
yeah. Or even down there when they have just a day that's a little bit
because you kind of adapt.
Yeah. Well, the thing with up north, though, is that the cold weather lasts longer.
Yeah, and there's some wind. Like the wind is such a thing.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So, a few fun facts, in case you didn't know. Well, we already said groundhogs are also called woodchucks, and sometimes they're called whistle pigs
That's so funny.
because they whistle when they're frightened or looking for a mate. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, how confusing would that be
Right.
for the mate? Because they're like, wait, is
Are you scared
are you
or
afraid?
romantic?
Or, I mean, what's going to happen? Because if you're scared and feeling romantic, I'm going to run away.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Imagine the groundhog dating apps, make sure that you're clearer about your fear.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Just seems weird. Okay. So even though they're sometimes called whistle pigs, they belong to a group of large squirrels known as marmots. I mean, I've heard of marmots, but I didn't really know what they were.
Yeah.
But so I don't know why they don't call them whistle
I cannot
squirrels.
stand squirrels.
I know you can't. I think they're cute, and I
From
like to.
afar.
Yeah, I don't want one in my house, like on Christmas vacation in the tree or anything.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And they hibernate. Well, obviously, because they're in their little burrow.
Well, okay, squirrels don't hibernate. Squirrels are jumping around all winter.
Right.
But groundhogs do.
Right.
Okay.
So I would have thought they'd be in the bear family, really. Because bears, they hibernate and their heart rate goes down and they lose fat or something like that. And that's the same with these. Well, and I thought this was funny. They hibernate and the males emerge from their burrows to look for a mate before going underground again. They do that in February, like around February.
Oh.
And they come out for good in March. But here's what I was thinking. If they're all hibernating and only the male groundhogs come out of their burrow, who do they think they're going to mate with? They just sit there and whistle? Like,
Well, maybe that's a good question.
yeah.
I don't even have a maybe for that.
No,
I
because
was
it
searching my
only
brain.
says males emerge. So they're already down in their burrow with the women ones, the females. So
Well, maybe they whistle and that's what wakes up the ladies. And then the ladies are like, oh, it's time.
perhaps if they had,
And then they
divulged
go
more
out.
information.
Yeah. Right.
But I just thought that was funny.
And
Like,
maybe
what are they
that's-
waiting for? The males are always waiting. Like,
What did I do? And then maybe that's when they get scared when the women really start to respond. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here.
yeah.
Whistle pig.
They only live about 6 to 8 years, which I already said that. Unless they're in captivity. Then they get an extra 2 because they're taken care of.
But when they die, I thought I read that they don't die like of natural causes usually. Usually it's the,
Nature,
right, the
another
food chain.
animal. Right.
Somebody num 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 num.
Ugh.
Sorry.
That's all
But
right.
it's not like they get diabetes and stuff and then go night night.
Yeah. So this is interesting.
Okay.
The Groundhog Day in 1993, the movie.
Yeah.
It was actually shot in Woodstock, Illinois, and the whole thing is based on Punxsutawney,
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I did not know that up in Woodstock. Well, Bill Murray's from Chicago and he's a big Chicago fan.
Yeah.
Who knows?
but-
Maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that film, by the way.
I've never seen it.
You have never
No.
seen it?
I wish I did for this episode.
Girl.
Our recording. No, never saw it.
It's so good. Yeah.
Funny?
It's funny. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
I just picture Bill Murray on Caddyshack being like he was all annoyed with the...
So in the film,
Moles or something.
Bill Murray is a weatherman. And he's on this crew shooting from the location, where all the news is. And he's trying to get the report and is Punxsutawney Phil going to see a shadow and blah, blah, blah. And some way, somehow, he keeps reliving the same day over and over. And he can't get free from it. He can't. So he keeps at the same day. So, and then he has like a crush on the crew girl that's with him.
Okay.
And I forget her name, the actress, but she's really good. The long brown curly hair. I can't remember her name. Anyway, so that's the kind of summary
Okay.
of just, and then it's just like how that day just replays for him every day, the same, and he makes some changes, and he reaches that arc of, oh yeah, I am a jerk, because he's kind of a jerk. In the beginning.
Okay.
And then he realizes by reliving the same day, every day, he realizes like how to overcome some of his jerkiness.
Took him that long?
Well, he was kind of a jerk. Anyway.
Well, no wonder, because I
Interesting.
read something about Ground Hog not really being the same day after day or something like that. And I thought, what's that about? But
Yeah.
I didn't know it was
cannot
from the
believe
movie.
that you are an American
Yep.
who has not seen Bill Murray in Groundhog
I
Day.
know. And
All
I'm
right.
kind of a movie goer type
Yeah.
person, but
Well,
whatever.
I'm disappointed.
Well, all right. Another thing, now, I'm not sure. I've never heard this. Punxsutawney Phil has a ridiculously long official name. I guess that name is just a nickname. His full moniker is Punxsutawney Phil, Seer of Seers, a Sage of Sages, Prognosticator of Prognosticators, and Weather Prophet Extraordinaire.
Okay, right there just shows you the mindset of these people that brought this
They're
whole thing to be.
dignitaries. They're dignitaries. They have to be fancy.
Andy McDowell, by the way. She's the
Oh,
actress.
yeah.
She's the actress who plays the news lady,
Yes.
producer, whatever.
Yeah, I can
All
picture
right.
it. The original Groundhog Day involved eating the groundhogs.
Yeah, I read that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
they
PETA would
even-
not have that now.
No, they even had groundhog punch. Did you know
Ew.
that?
No, I didn't see
I
that.
don't know. I don't even want to
No,
know that.
no.
And then I already mentioned how after the film, it drew crowds of up to 30,000 people.
It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of fun facts that we just went over.
Yeah. And, what I'm kind of thinking, or this went through my mind anyway while we're talking about Groundhog Day, is why not have a Groundhog Day party? Like, how come we don't have a little feast of our own? No, Groundhog
Well, we could
feast.
start.
I guess we could.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, another thing too. This is just kind of off the cuff. So in Germany, they used, like I said earlier, hedgehogs, or I think there was other little critters or whatever. But when they came here to Pennsylvania, the groundhogs were abundant, so that's why they used those.
So they went off script,
They did.
as you say.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm looking it up. Do they still do it in Germany, the Groundhog Day thing? I can't really see. Let's see. It's a popular North American tradition observed in the U.S., but also known in the German Protestant Lutheran churches because it's connected to that
Oh, that's right.
Candlemas.
Candlemas.
like Christmas, but Candlemas.
Yeah.
It's some ceremony. It's some sort of a religious ceremony about
It is.
Jesus.
Jesus in Jerusalem.
I think it's like when he was presented
Yeah.
by his parents,
Yeah, that's what I saw.
to the temple. Well, see how we humans are. I mean, we were talking about this earlier about how, imagine what God thinks when he looks down on us and he goes, oh, wow, look at those guys. They're funny. They're using groundhogs to predict their weather, and they're turning
I gave
it
them
into
all these tools and a brain, and
yeah, they're going with the groundhogs.
well,
So
he did provide the nature, so
he did. Well, friends,
That was a fun
do you have
one.
anything else that you
I
wanted to
don't,
say about?
no.
I think we've exhausted all of our documentation.
this is our shortest episode ever.
Oh, really? How many
Yeah.
minutes is it?
Well,
15?
18.
Oh, 18 minutes.
Woo!
Well, okay. Well, we're not done just yet because
Yeah.
we're going to preview next week, which is another exciting holiday.
Well, I think there'll be more information on the next one.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's been around longer than Groundhog Day?
Well, I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
Let's just say.
Well, it's Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And Valentine's Day, I got to say this about Valentine's Day. It's really not that much different than Groundhog Day to me. Like, it's never really meant much. You know what I mean? I know some people, it is kind of a big thing. And maybe when you're dating, whatever. But it's just not.
I just thought of something that I am going to mention when we record that episode.
Okay.
Yeah. something
Write it
about
down.
what you-
Don't forget.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our next episode is on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
All right. Let's share our scripture.
Yes. Let's do that.
Did you have something else that you were about to say?
Well, no, I'll save it.
Oh, save it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Job. Not Job. Job.
Job.
Sorry. Chapter 37, verses 6 through 8. And it says this. He says to the snow, fall on the earth, and to the rain, be a mighty downpour, so that everyone he has made may know his work. He stops all people from their labor. The animals take cover. They remain in their dens.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Isn't
the
that
groundhog
amazing?
remains
Yes.
in his dens.
So there's so much truth to that. God
Yeah.
is the one. He provides. He created the snow, the rain, all of the
all of
precipitation.
nature, all the animals.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how fitting is that with the animals going in their burrows?
Yeah. And we wanted to, because, with this podcast, we are having a good time. We're taking fun topics, whatever, and we're doing whatever we do with them. But at the end of each episode, we do like to point our listeners to Jesus because he has all the answers. He may not reveal everything to us in this life, not every single thing, like not every answer is in front of us for all the questions that we have, but he does have them all.
Yeah.
And we have to trust in that God, our creator, like capital C creator, like God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, that God, triune God, has it all together. So put your faith in him because we're going to see him someday.
Yes. Oh.
Face to face. And you want to be ready.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. That's it.
Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
I'm still Cathrine.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.